Morning, everyone.
Good morning. So today we're going to start the class about the security part. So we are going to talk about how to secure our, to make sure that our users can only edit their own profile and they can only edit it after they log in. So what I mean here is, for now, right, this is our application, and we already have our data stored in a database. Everything's set up, right? So if I log in as Alice, I can check her profile, I can edit her profile, I can check all the websites she created, right? And I can just log out, log in. But there's one thing is not very secure here is it's not very safe because you see the URL path here. It's local 3000/user/user ID. If I copied this ID, if I know the user ID, even I log it out, right? I can just pass the ID of the user to directly get into the profile without knowing her password and username, right? Even I don't know her username and password, I can just copy her ID, right? I can just open a new window, I just paste her ID inside the URL path, and I get into her profile, which shouldn't be allowed. We should only allow the user to get into the profile after they log in. If not, we shouldn't allow them to go to the profile, right? So we cannot guarantee that the ID is not known by others. So right, it's something we're going to do. And so the way we're going to do it is so right now, once the user log in, we sending a user the username and password to the server side, and the server going to check the username and password in the database. So looking for the corresponding user, looking for the certain user has such username and password. If we found it, then we know the user logged in, right? And so basically we have in the client, we send out username and password to the server. Server going to check username and password and give back a response, give back the user's information we need. Right, and we're going to add in one more process here, is when the server sends back a response. We not only send the user information, we also want to send out a token, right? A kind of like a encrypted a token, right? It's called a JSON web token. I'll send out a token. Like it's going to be some kind of like a text. Just so slow. Let's give some time. Right, so kind of like a token like this. It's not readable by a human. It's just a array of characters, a string to the client, and the user. We're gonna store that token in the browser for a while. After that, when the user tries to go to the profile, the browser, the client will provide the token to the server, and the server will check, did the user provide a token? If yes, we know, okay, you already logged in, we're going to log in, or you're allowed to go to the profile. If the user haven't logged in before, he just directly passed the ID into the URL path, that means he won't have a token, right? He never communicated with server before to ask him for a token, and she just directly trying to hack into the profile, and the server will know, okay, you didn't provide token, well, I'm not going to allow you to go into the profile. This is the way we make sure the user can only get into the profile once they're logged in. Right, so again, when you try to log in or when you register a new account, we are going to send a request to the server. And the server will provide not only the user information but also a token, a string. Right, and with that string, the client will record it. We're basically going to store that in local storage. And next time when you send a request, for example, I'm trying to go to profile. When you go to profile, to sending out another request, asking the server, am I allowed to go to profile? And server check, do you have the token? If yes, yes, you can. If no, no, you cannot go to profile. I'm going to re-navigate you back to the login page. Please log in first before you can go to profile. All right, so today we're going to implement that process into our application to guarantee the user can only log in once they user can only go to the profile once they log in, right? Otherwise, they cannot go to the profile, right? So here is our application, right? I already opened it, and it's already finished the database part, has everything set up, and we are going to basically following the next assignment description. I already put it here to install a library. It's just called JSON Web Token, right? Just a token used to recognize which user logged in there. Right, let's go ahead and do it. So let's opening the terminal. Right, so I already have one running on the npm run div. I'm gonna open another one. Open another one on the right. Right, npm run div, and the right one I'm gonna npm install the JSON Web Token. Right, so the library's name can be found in here in the assignment description here. JSON Web Token. Right, npm I JSON Web Token to install this library. Should be very small. All it does is just generate a token, so we can provide that to the client. Right. So let's go ahead to do it. Right. So let's see which thing we want to do first is in the client. Right. Once we enter the username and the password, right. Once we enter username and password, for example, if I enter Alice. Once I click on login, I'm calling the login function. I'm calling the login function. And the login function, we are going to change that a little bit to ask it to send out the request to server as well. But when the response comes back, we are going to ready to accept that token. Right. So that means on the server side, we need to provide a token when the user tries to log in. Right, so let's go to the server side first. Let's change stuff for the server side. Like ask the server side to provide a token. Right, so in the server side, in the routes, user.js. Right, so let me just close the right side. So the function we're trying to use to log in is a find user by credential. Right. This is the function actually does two things. It has an if cases checking for when the login, and another one checking if the username is taken. Right. I'm actually going to separate these functions into two. Right. To just to make sure two separate functions here. Using a new login function instead of using this find user by credential, just to separate it with this. So we're going to comment this out for now. Right, so we're going to create a login function here. Login function here. So it's going to be a router. This time we're going to using a post. And the path here, I'm going to make up one, just /login. Right, when the user tries to log in, I'm going to call a function request a response. Right. So it's going to do a very similar thing like the previous one, but this time we're going to get in we're using the post here. So we're going to get in the username and the password from request body. Right. Using the destructuring here to get in the username and password from it. And the same thing, we're going to let user is equal to await user.find1. Right, same process to find the username in the database. username equal to the username, and the password equal to the given password. Right. So the user is found from the database. Now we can check if the user is existing or not. Right. So if the user is not existing, right? If there's no user, not a user, we just sending with the JSON a null to the client, right? I don't find a user. So you cannot log in. So I'm not going to provide you a token or provide you the information. You just use doesn't exist. Else, right? Else, we're going to create a constant. We're going to call it a payload. Is equal to, the payload is basically what's going to be contained inside the JSON Web Token. Right, JSON Web Token it is a string, but it actually has some meaning inside it. If I provide a string, this token to it, and it's basically it's kind of like encrypted information inside the token, and which can be decrypted into some information, right? So what I want to be encrypted is the user's ID, like for example the user, which is equal to object, and has ID equal to this user dot ID. Right, in the payload, this is what's going to be contained in this payload. It is a user that has an ID equal to user's ID. Right, this is going to be included into the JSON Web Token, inside this token. Oops, sorry. Right, so okay, here we created the payload, and I'm going to using the JSON Web Token library to sign in that. Let's import the JSON Web Token. So I'm going to do the constant. I call it JSON Web Token, JWT, which is equal to require JSON Web Token library. I bring this library to help us to do a couple of works here. And also to use it in the config file, right, in the default JSON, we need to provide a secret, like the way we use to encrypt this user information. So I'm going to call it JWT secret, which equals to, you basically can put anything here, right? We're using the secret to encrypt the payload, and we also use that to decrypt the payload. So that's where the key we use to understand what is contained in the token. So I'm just gonna call it secret. You can literally just put anything here. Right, I'm gonna call it secret. In the production, you can also have a JWT secret. You just give it another one, right? So this is remember the default is using locally, and the production is using when we push our code online. So this one you're gonna using a different secret. I'm gonna call it M symbol. You can just use any one you like. Right, so we have two. Right now I have Mongo and the JWT secret. Right. Okay, so once we have the payload and have the config set up, right? Default JSON and the production JSON have JWT secret set up. We can use that to log in. So we're gonna use call function. Right after the creation of the payload, we're going to say JWT.sign. Sign is the function to create that token. And in that function, take two things. First thing is what will be contained in the payload. What will be contained in the token. So I'm going to say just this payload variable. Right, this payload variable has a user inside it. This is what will be stored into the JSON Web Token. And what is the secret you want to use? The secret I want to use is config.get the JWT secret. Did I import the config inside this file? Not yet. Let's see. Constant config is equal to require. We're going to import the config. So I can use in config.get to get in the JSON Web Token, the JSON Web Token secret, right? And that's takes two things. And we can also provide the third things. It's an object. We're gonna make them like just one by one. Like the first one, the second one, and the third one. The third one can be object. Inside this object, I can tell it how long does the token will be valid. I can say it's I can put expires in. You can put 1 day. That means like once you log in, I can remember the token is valid for just 1 day. After the day, the token will be like expired. Alright, it's going to be abandoned. So only valid for 1 day, or you can say 1 hour, or 1 month. So I usually just using 1 day for that. Or you can just put a number like 1,000. That means 1 second. Right, 1,000 milliseconds. It's just 1 second. Right, so I think 1 day is a good number here. Right, 3 things. And once the sign in here, we can excuse me. Once we sign in here, we are going to send this back to the client. Right, so we're gonna put the sign function can also take in a callback function, right, which takes arrow and a token. Right, it's gonna call function, which it's gonna call this function after the sign is done. Right, it's gonna provide us either if there's an arrow, then the arrow will provide inside it. Otherwise, it's going to give us a token. Right. So in this function, let me just reorganize it. I just want to make sure that that is understandable. Right, so 4 things: payload, the secret, when does it is expired, and the function, the callback function. Right. So once we sign in, we're going to check if there is an arrow. If there's an arrow, we are going to throw the arrow. Through arrow, it's more like just like a return the arrow, and which is going to stop the function. Right. If there's no arrow, we're going to erase the JSON, sending back the object to the client, which contains the token and the user. Right. I want both the token and the user. Right. Remember, the user is a user we found in database, and the token is just the token we newly generated by the sign function. I was sending both the token and the user to the client. Yes.
Is there an error message with these errors, or just pops up in there?
The error messages for the arrow. The error message will be stored in this arrow object. Then it's all the arrow variable. So if there's arrow, the through arrow going to console log the arrow inside the terminal here, so we will know.
Okay.
This is why I have this if here. Right. If this, otherwise the error will be null. So if the error is not null, it's going to throw this arrow in the terminal.
Okay.
Right. And the throw also going to stop the function. Otherwise, we're sending back the token and the user to the client. I hope that makes sense. Yes. And we can try it out. So, so this is a .post/login. We're going to ask the client to send out this request, and we'll see what we have in the response. All right. So let's go to the client, components, user, login. Right. So on submit, this is a function when we click the login button, and we let's rewrite it a little bit. So let's say on submit, we are not going to directly send a request like this. Right, this is going to be changed a little bit. Let's delete that for a while, and we're going to also delete this. Right, so either prevent default, then we create constant a form data, right? What data we want to send into the client. So remember, right now this function is a post, and the username and password are from request body. right? So we're going to say the form data which equal to the username and the password equal to the password. Right? So basically create an object contains the username that user entered and the password the user entered. And let's send this to the server. So we're going to do is constant response is equal to await access the post. Right, send it to /API /user/login. Right, remember this is a pass right now for the login. Right, /API/user and /login. Right, and also we need to send the form data. Right, it's a post, so we can send in the data as a body, or as a second parameters here. Right, form data, and let's see what we have in this. Let me comment this out for now. Let's see what we have in this response. It's console.log response. Right, see what we're getting back from the server. Right, so let's try it out inside our application. Right, so in the console, if I try to log in, right, let me make it bigger. Log in as Alice. Click login. See, this is the response we're getting back. Right, remember the data is in the response to data. We're going to check it out in the data. So we have two things here, right? It's a little bit hard to read. So we first have a token, right? So this one is a token. Right, so it's very long. And we have the user object. Right, it has ID, username, password, first name, last name, email, right? So we're not only getting the user, we're also getting a token. And we are going to, of course, using this token, using this user, to go to her profile. We also need this token here to tell the browser, okay, you can this token is valid for 1 hour, and for 1 day you can use that to go to the profile. And once this token expired, you're not allowed to go to the profile. We're gonna use that. So let's keep going to this function here. Once we get the response, we'll check. Right, if raise the data. If there is a data sending back from the server, right? So we're going to store the token in the local storage. So we're going to local storage the set item. Remember we did it before. Set item. We set this token into it. Use the data the token. Right. Set takes two things. Firstly, the name of it and the value of it. Name going to be token, and the value just be raise the data token. Right, we're going to save that into the local storage. And also we know the user is equal to raise the data, the user. And then we can still keep doing this also doing these two things. Let's use the user, not divided by user. The user. And then we can still do the history the push. Right, we still have the user. And if else, we are going to alert invalid credential. Right, so basically just rewrite this one a little bit. I will check it if there is a response come back and there is a data come back. We save the token in the local storage and then do the same thing as usual to navigate user to the profile. Right, otherwise you say invalid credential. So let's try it out. So this time we're gonna keep looking at the application here, right? So the local storage, right? Local storage. So right now it's empty. If once I log in, if I enter something wrong password, enter something random, click login, I'm going to get invalid credential. Nothing changes here. But if I successfully logged in, the token will be stored in my local storage. And this token going to be there. We'll use that. We're gonna use this to communicate with server. Okay, server check if a client provided this token to me. Okay, you provided this. I'm gonna allow you to go to profile. Otherwise, I'm not gonna allow you to do that. Right, of course, our client is our server is not checking if you have token right now. Right, we're gonna implement this process to ask the server to check. You are only allowed to go to profile once you enter this. Once you have this token, right? Once you provide a token to me, I allow you to go to profile. Otherwise, you don't. Right? So we go into create that process. Right? We're gonna first go to the let me check my notes here. That's a process called load user. Right, load user process and the private route. So we're gonna create a component in the components folder. We have page, user, website, and widget. I'm gonna create a new folder here. Just separate that with others. We're gonna cut the utils. And inside this folder, we're gonna create a new component called private. Actually, it's not called utils. So I'm gonna call it rename it to the routing. I'm gonna call it routing. Inside this routing folder, we're gonna create a new component called private route.js. Private route.js. And this is a RFC, generate the functional component. It's actually going to be very simple. We're going to import a couple of things. We're going to import route and use history from React route down. Import Access from Access, right? Import those libraries. And what we're going to return here is what we actually want to do here is we're going to use this private route in the app.js here. I want to use that here. So what we're going to do is instead of only use a route, I also want to be able to using private route inside here. Right? So, and I want to make sure if I using private route for any of this path, this page should be only allowed to visit if you logged in. If you didn't log in before, you cannot get into this page. Now, this is what this private route does. I'm going to go into finish this part. Let me just change the scenes back. I only have a route right now, and let's go ahead finish this part, pass this process. So what we're going to do here is we're going to return a route that has a the private route going to also have input. It has props. Actually, we're gonna using a destructuring here with a component, and we're gonna rename it to the component. And data.rest, that means all the rest of properties will be passing here. So we're basically going to create a wrap, like a route wrap. And it contains it's a little bit hard to understand, but basically you can use this same layout in any of your in any of your future application to guarantee any private routes that you want to create. Right, render. Right, basically it's a route render. It's an old format we use to create a route. If you remember that, render props. Right, so which returns the component itself. It's really hard to write it. Right, so it basically just returns a route. Right, private route is literally a route that contains all the properties you provided, and it gives you the components you provide as well. Right, so it's going to be similar like the regular route. Right, so let's compare them. It's basically like similar like the similar route. This is rest is just going to be exact and pass. Right, it's going to provide the exactly provide me and the pass provide me. The route rest here basically just means exact is equal to exact provide and the pass equal to pass provide. And the render is just what's going to be included inside here. Which if you provide me login, I'm going to bring you to login. If you provide me register, I'm going to bring you to the register. Right. We want to create a reusable private route wrapper that can be used in any private route you want to have in the future. Right. So we have the private route here. And there's one more thing I want here is I'm going to create a function constant. We're going to call it the load user function. It's equal to a function async. Right. So what this function does is just going to send a request to the server to check to ask server, do I have the token? If I do, and the server will allow me to go to the page. Otherwise, the server going to re-navigate me back to the previous page, to the login page. All right. So to make it happen, we also need to create one more things. Right, we're gonna create one more function. Let me just put it here. We're gonna create another function called constant set as token. Right, it takes a token and run a function. Right, two functions. Set as token. What this function does is it's gonna check if we have a token, and then we set access defaults the headers comma x as token is equal to the token I provide. So let me explain this once give me a second. Let me just finish that and explain this to you. It's actually very easy to understand. Else we delete this token. Right, so what this function does is just going to check if we have a token in the local storage, then when we send out a request to the server, we provide the token. Otherwise, we just delete the token because the token is already invalid. We're going to delete that. So the way we use this function inside here is we check if local storage token, right? If there is a token in local storage, we're gonna call this function set as token local storage token. Right. So if we have a token in local storage, then we adding this token to the Axios. So when the Axios sends out the request, it's going to also send out this token. Token will also go with this Axios when we send a request. Otherwise, we just delete that, right? And once we send out the request, we can check. We can try to call this Axios.get to check if the user logged in. If we're gonna send a request to the server and ask the server to check if this token is valid. If the token is valid, user can go to the component he wants to go to. Otherwise, we're going to navigate him back to another to the login page. So here we're going to using a technology called try catch. It's called a try catch technology. So the syntax is just going to be try curly brace and the catch arrow curly brace. So what it does is going to try to do something. It's going to try to send the error request await Axios.get /API/user/load. This is a new API I'm gonna create. Basically, just ask the server to check if the token is valid. Right, just checking if the token is valid. If this goes through, and we basically just work. Otherwise, we are going to do a history. The push. We don't have history here. Let me just quickly create that. So the history constant history is equal to use history. Use history. Right. So when we're using the history to push to the login page, right? Slash login. Go back to the login page. So if you, so what log user function does is just check. Okay, so if a load function says no error, I allowed you to go to the component. Otherwise, just gonna navigate you back to the login page, ask you to re-log in, right? And let's call this function here, log user function. I'm gonna call this function here, right? We define the function and call the function right afterwards. Yes.
Is this history push? Is that code the same code? Would it be related to like search history and stuff like that?
Search history?
Like if I wanted to add searches to my page, would it be in this section? Would it be like that, basically?
What search? What do you want to search?
No, I mean if I wanted to add like a search onto my my project.
No.
On the search tab. Okay.
No. This history, the search, this history is basically is your browser history, like which page you're coming from. Like you can this history is your browser history, and you can use history to push into a new page.
Okay.
Right. If you push this to /login, it's going to check in your app.js. Okay, /login is a login component. I'm going to bring you back to the login component. And this is what history the push does. Right. So that's everything to do in this private route. Right. So if you cannot remember what we did here, I already provided the code here. This is a private route code, full code here. Right. Just actually it's very short. It's only have like 20 lines. Contains about 2 functions. Right. One is set lost token. Another one is load user, and that's it. All right. We're gonna use this private route. We're gonna import that in the app.js. So we're gonna import that. I'm gonna put that here. Right. Route components. So import. Just import private route from /components/routing/private route. Right, this is in app.js. Right, so then we can use that. Cannot resolve Excels. Did I forget to import Excels? I did. Oh, mistype here. Excels. Right, app.js. Right, to use in the private route is very easy. So you can just change the route into private route. For example, for the profile, I want to change the route into private route. Right, then the profile can only be visited once you log in. Right now, for example, if I go to the go to the user, let me just refresh the page. Right. This is my login page. If I try to log in, I think it will work. I can go to the profile. If I log out, delete the token, right? Delete the token. Directly navigate to the profile, and it still allows me to. Yeah, I need to finish the load user part on the server side, right? So in the private route here, I created the /API/user/load this request, and the server need to also provide a response. Let me go to the routes here to ending that. Let me see. So we're gonna create a new function right after this one. I'm gonna create a new one called load user. Right, so router.get/load. Right, it's just the one we created. And so when I receive this request, I'm actually going to do two things. Firstly, I'm going to call a function called ask, and then call the function's provider response. You can do that. Right. So the ask function, let's create that. This is actually going to be in another folder. We're gonna create a folder outside, just to make things more readable and clear. So I'm gonna create a folder called middleware. Middleware folder contains all our middle functions, the functions between the request and response. I call it middleware. I create a new file called ask.js. What this function does is just as we said. We're gonna check if the token is valid. If the token is valid, we're gonna you can go ahead go to the next function to do whatever you want. Otherwise, I'm going to send an error to the client. Says sorry, you cannot go to you're not allowed to go to the next function because you are not the token you provided me is invalid. Right. So in AskJS, let's do that. So we're gonna import the JSON Web Token library, and also import the config library. Right, two libraries we're going to use. Right. And create the function. Function ask. Function ask. Right, function takes two things: the request, response, and next. Right, we're going to talk about what is next. So constant token is equals to the token from request. Request header and the from x ask token. Right. So this is if you remember the previous route, this is where we put the token into. Right. So it's access the headers and x ask token, and now when we're sending the request to a server can get in the token from the same place. Right. So we're getting the token. We're gonna check if the token exists. If this is not token, if the token not exists, we are giving a response to the server, to the client. Return with the status. We're gonna return status here. You can tell user what kind of arrows you want to show. I want to show a 401 arrow. It's a client-side arrow, and the messages for the client is no token. Right? If it didn't provide me a token, right? So return will stop the function. So we're not allowed to go to the next step, and all you get is just an error. And it says no token provided. Right? No token provided. And you're not allowed to go to the next step. Right? And else, if there is a token, we're also going to do a try catch. Right? Try catch. We're going to try if the token is valid, right? So yes, you provided me token, but we also need to see this is a token that I gave you, not some random text you provide to me. And make sure this is a valid token. I'm going to check it. So we're going to do a constant decoded. We're trying to decode to the token. As I said, the token is an encrypted text. And then right now let's try to decrypt it. See if I can something I can understand. Right. So JWT verify, gonna verify the token with our JSON web token secret. So config.get JWT secret. Right. Let's try to verify this is something that we can understand. If that's successfully, we can see the request of the user is going to equals to this decoded user. Right? And then we do next. This next basically just allows us to go to the next function. Right? So in other words, it's going to, once the RC is successfully, it allows us to go to the next function, which is this function here, to do whatever we want. Right? And else, we can catch the error. We can console the log, the error, and also send a error to the client. Again, we're going to using the 400 error, which is something wrong with the client. JSON, and the message is, we're going to tell it authentication failed, wrong token. Right, send out some messages, lowercase. Send out some messages to the client. Tell it, okay, well, you do provide me a token, but I cannot verify it. That's not the token I provide to you. That's something I don't even understand. Right, something I don't even understand. Right, this is this auth function, and we're going to use this auth function inside here. Let's import it here. So in the user route. Let's import it. Constant auth is equal to require // the middleware folder and auth. Did I export it? Yes, we need also to export it because we want to use it. So we're gonna say module.exports. Remember, it is exports. Many times students make it export. Right, just syntax. Export this auth function. Right, so the user.js can use that, the auth function. Right, so what going to happen is when the user sends this request, we first going to check if the token is valid. If that is true, we are going to do the rest stuff. So constant user equal to await find the user model the find by ID request the user.id and then rest the JSON this user to the client. Right, so this is what we do here. And I think that's everything we need to do to make the load user work on the server side. Let me try it. So right now, if I log in as Alice, it should still work. Hold on, is there any error here? Let me just clear it up and check out the local storage. Once I log in, I can still go to the profile, and I have this token. When I have this token, even I open a new window, I can still go to that page, because I have that token in the local storage, and they're gonna be valid for 1 day. If I clear that up, if I delete that, and try it out again, go to the profile, boom, it then allows me to. It's bringing me. Even I know the ID, it's gonna bring me back to the login page. Right, so now I know the Alice ID, but I'm not allowed to go to there. Right, I get in there, it's just never getting me back. Try to get in there, it's never getting me back. You cannot go to the profile. Because you don't provide me the token. Or if I navigate as Alice, I navigate in, right? And I manually change this token a little bit. For example, this is our value token. Let me just add in some random things inside it. Now the token become invalid. And if I try to go back to this page, same thing. You cannot, because yes, you provide me a token, but this is not a token that I give you, so it's not valid. It's not gonna work. Right? So that's how it works. And you can also receive an error here, the 401 error, which is the error I put it here. Right? You're gonna receive this error. I'm gonna receive this error. Right, this is the error that told you like, okay, this is error you received. You cannot get into the profile page because the token you provided me is not valid, or you didn't provide me a token. You're only allowed to go to that page once you successfully log in. Right? And now the page is protected for only logged in user. Alright? And you can use the private route anywhere you want. For example, I don't want the user to go to the website list without login. I'm going to change the route for private route for the website list. And same thing maybe for the website, actually for all the rest things, like all the pages, but login and profile, and regions, yes, you can do that, right? So right now, let's just do it for a few pages. I want to protect all the website pages, website list, website new, website edit, and protect it with private route. So it's private. So let's try it again. So if I log in, add this. Right, once I log in, I can go to the website list. But if I manually delete the token, I cannot go here anymore. If I reload the page, it's going to navigate me back to the login page. You need to log in first before you can get into that page. Right? So that's how the private route works.
True.
Yes.
With the token that you set for a set amount of time, is that the same when it asks you if it wants to store your name and password?
Yes, exactly.
So with that token, it's just unlimited amount of time?
So usually a website. Let me get into that part here. Right, since here it expires in 1 day, so the token only valid for 1 day. After after today, when you're trying to verify the token with the secret, it's going to tell you the token is invalid. I cannot understand it anymore. And you can customize how long does this is going to remember your credential. How long can it remember you? You. If you can see usually a website will do is either 3 days or 7 days for your account, and if you're a back account, just maybe for a couple minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour. And if you do not provide this time here, if you delete that, your function also works, but it only works when the browser is open. Once you close the browser, reopen the browser, the token is invalid. So the two kinds of token, token. Yes, one is like is going to expire when you close the window, or you can provide a time, like how long you want it to be last. Right, you can ask it to be available just for 1 day, or for 1 hour, or for just for a couple days. Right. So that's what usually happen there. So in this case, we'll put it 1 day. But usually you can put it any times you like. I think you can check the valid time in the JSON Web Token library. You just search for that in npm, and I also learned from here, like how to use it. I'm gonna teach you like the timing here. So you can put express in 2 days, 10 hours, 7 days, or like 120 means 120 milliseconds. You can just put anything you want, and they're also going to provide the way we use it. Like you can use that to sign in. You can use that to verify, like all the things I just learned from this document. Right, you can use that to verify. I say the verify. Right, so it's all from this this library. But the main logic is just as I said here. Right, you log in, you provide user and password to server, and usually we only provide you the user information, but now we provide you the both user information and a token. The token is only valid for a period of time, and within that period of time, if you want to go to any private route, for example the profile, and we're going to check in if you have a token. If you do, we'll provide you that page. You can go to that page. Otherwise, we'll navigate you back to the login page to ask you to provide me a token first before you can go to there. Right? So the token only provided when you log in. So that's gonna get guaranteed. Like if someone trying to get into your profile without logging, they cannot, because this is the only way you're getting the token. Right, that's the only way you're getting the token. And so we're gonna stop today's lecture here. And there's a few things we haven't done. First thing is a register, right? So once you register a new user, we also want to bring you to the profile. So that means either you log in or you sign up, you register a new account. We're gonna provide you a token, right? So it's gonna be very easy. It's gonna be the same process like we did this today, but we're just adding the same thing to the register row as well. Right, we're gonna do this on next Monday. And another thing, what I haven't done today is about logout. Right. So right now, if you click on logout, it actually just doesn't do anything. It just navigates you back to the login page. But the token wouldn't delete it. What I want to do is, once you click logout, we want to delete the token we stored in the browser. So that's really logging you out. So the token is gone. You can never go back to your profile without logging again. Right. So we're gonna do that as well on next Monday. Like once you click on logout button, we're gonna bring you back to the login page, of course, and also we're gonna delete your token in the local storage. Right. It's also very easy. I just need to understand this process. So today we actually created two functions. One is for the login, one is for the load user. Right. Login is we added one thing there to provide you a token. A load user, we're checking if the client provided such token to me. Right, understand the process here. And the code you can find it in the assignment description, or you can also find it in the video. Let me upload the video to